Projectile Motion Series, M&M Quiz 2162. Welcome to hecanhelp.com. A projectile is launched at 40 meters per second. And what is the angle with respect to the horizontal? 60 degrees. Initial velocity vector makes an angle of 60 degrees with respect to the horizontal. Assume no air resistance and constant acceleration. What is the vertical displacement from the point of launch at the 3-second mark? Is it A, or is it B, or is it C? Positive x is defined as to the right, positive y is vertically up. So before we go any further, let's just look at the vertical component of the initial velocity vector. Remember, our hypotenuse is 40 meters per second. It is 40 sine 60 because sine 60 is opposite side to 60, which is this. So opposite side to 60 over hypotenuse. Opposite side to 60 is the vertical component of the initial velocity vector. Hypotenuse is 40, cross multiply and you get the vertical component of the initial velocity vector is 40 sine 60, and that is 34.64 meters per second. If acceleration is a constant, we can use the appropriate equation of kinematics. Vertical displacement delta y is given by initial vertical component of the velocity vector times time plus 1/2 acceleration along the vertical. Positive x is defined as to the right, positive y is vertically up. So what is the acceleration along the vertical? It is negative 9.8 meters per second per second. The initial vertical component of the velocity vector is 40 sine 60, and that is 34.64 meters per second. We are told that the time is 3 seconds. So we have the initial vertical component of the velocity vector, we have time, we have acceleration along the vertical, which is negative 9.8 meters per second, and we have the time. So substitute the numbers that we know, and this is the initial vertical component of the velocity vector. This is time, this is acceleration along the vertical, this is time squared. When you substitute all those numbers, we get 59.82 meters. Now, this is your launch point, right? And the projectile is going to go like this. You can call this 0, 0. That makes it a little more convenient. In that case, it is 59.82 about the origin. There is another way of doing this, and that is you take the initial component of the velocity vector, you take the final component of the velocity vector, and you know the time is equal to 3 seconds, and you know the acceleration on the vertical is negative 9.8 meters per second. From the definition of acceleration, we get v final y is equal to v initial y plus acceleration along the y times time, from which we can find the final vertical component of the velocity vector. Once you have the initial vertical component of the velocity vector and the final vertical component of the velocity vector, we can find the average velocity along the vertical. Once you have the average velocity along the vertical, you can multiply that by time and you get the displacement along the vertical. All right, so that's what I did here. You know the initial vertical component at t is equal to 0 seconds. It is 34.64 meters per second, 40 sine 60. So we know that. Final vertical velocity component at t is equal to 3 seconds is given by v initial y plus acceleration along y times time. V initial y is 34.64. Acceleration along the vertical is negative 9.8. Time is 3 seconds. When you do the math, you get v final y, that is at t is equal to 3 seconds, the vertical component of the velocity vector at t is equal to 3 seconds. you get it as 5.24 meters per second. So we have final velocity, we have initial velocity, and then we can get the average velocity. Average velocity is final velocity plus initial velocity divided by 2. This is along the vertical. So final velocity plus initial velocity. Final velocity is 5.24. This is at the end of 3 seconds. Initial vertical velocity component is 34.64. Add and divide by 2 and you get the average, and that is 19.94 meters per second. Displacement, change in y, is equal to average vertical velocity times time. 19.94 times 3 seconds, and what do we get? 59.82. So it doesn't matter what approach you use, you get the same result, 59.82. So let's assume that this is our origin. So t is equal to 0. What is y? Y is equal to 0. At t is equal to 3 seconds, y is 59.82. And this is George Mathew. I hope you realize that I am here to help you. Good luck.